she's the candidate now. It's different. This is a whole new race. Erase your priors. People are joyful about it now. Democrats feel inspired.
She certainly has some momentum now.
Liberal Fox News commentator Jessica Tarlov yet again tries to caution her four MAGA co-hosts as they preen and posture and engage in the 5 stages of denial about the fact that the election has changed. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. A big one featuring Jessica Tarlov and her 4 MAGA co-hosts on the 5, and then a few clips from the vice president's astounding rally in Atlanta, Georgia, okay, which kind of feeds into the themes of this particular episode. But we're going to start with Jessica. As you know, we're the unofficial Jessica Tarlov fan club. She's back from maternity leave. And coincidentally, there seems to be a correlation between her return to mainstream media and the renewed vigor of the Democratic Party. In all seriousness, of course, that came from the vice president becoming the presumptive Democratic nominee, President Biden deciding to drop out of the race. And listen, first and foremost, we just got to say, yes, the vibes are better. Yes, the polling, the fundraising, the momentum is on our side, but that may be temporary. We still may very well lose. And this is something that the Fox propaganda network, and particularly Trump supporters on the 5, are struggling to deal with. Again, they are seemingly in denial. They're frustrated. They're doing this performative arrogance. It won't last. And Jessica Tarlov is trying to explain to them, hey, you need to shift your calculus. This is a new candidate and therefore a new race.
0.1%. Yeah, but how does a politician who is less popular than Joe Biden suddenly become the savior of the Democrat Party?
Well, she's actually more popular than Joe Biden. She's more popular than Donald Trump.
And she's 2 weeks ago.
But she's the candidate now. It's different. This is a whole new race. Erase your priors of what you think is going on, because there are people who are genuinely excited about Kamala Harris, and then there are also people who would be happy with generic D. Remember, we've seen all of this polling over months where it's Donald Trump versus generic Democrat, and this was part of what people used to try to force Joe Biden out. They said a generic Democrat is running 8 to 10 points ahead of where Joe Biden is. And Kamala Harris has just begun. She's going to need to answer for these things. And I frankly think she should just get in front of it. Do a big interview and say, play me all the clips. Show me everything I said, and I will explain to you how I feel differently because I have governed for 4 years. I have been part of the Biden-Harris administration. This is why my mind has been changed about X policy relating to the border, Medicare for all. These are lofty ideals. In practice, progress is slow but certain, and you can only do little things. To the James Carville interview, and Carville does know what he's talking about. I mean, listening to these people who have actually won big campaigns, I think is smart, but I haven't seen anyone acting as if we're not the underdogs. Even with all of this polling that has her, she's up in the swing states now, she's within the margin of error or not ahead in national polls. We know that this is a tough mountain to climb, but people are joyful about it now. Democrats feel inspired, and that can take us to November 5th and win us the election.
You know, Dana, she certainly has some momentum now, but when the honeymoon period is over.
I just wanted to include that part, that concession, that crucial concession by Jeanine Pirro, who's one of the MAGA-iest MAGA supporters on the Fox propaganda network. Even she concedes that the momentum is right now on the vice president's side. So that last part at the end, what Jessica Tarlov said about how there's a recognition by Democrats, by most Democrats, and certainly by Democratic leaders, that this is going to be a tough and competitive election. That is true. And the vice president actually says that specifically during her Atlanta, Georgia rally in the clips that I'm about to play for you. But before we do, just again, a couple of things. I love the fact that she continues to point out facts that Dana Perino, Jeanine Pirro, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, that none of these people would ever otherwise say. That right now, the vice president is leading Donald Trump in crucial polls, in crucial swing states. She's within the margin of error or leading in the national polls. This is good. This is a decisive shift in a positive direction from where we were 3 weeks ago. And it's important that people be aware of that. The fundraising, more than $200 million raised in her first week as the presumptive Democratic nominee. And as you'll see in the clips I'm about to show you, she's speaking at an arena with 10,000 people. I mean, we tend not to evaluate things based on crowd size. That's what Trump does, and it's cost him election after election after election, or at least the Republicans under his watch. But it is something that's nice to see that, that we're not just simply voting for the lesser of two evils. Now, I personally believe that President Biden has been a very, very, very good president, particularly with respect to domestic policy. I think his record will be historically revered in that respect. But a lot of people didn't feel that way. A lot of people were underwhelmed. Well, you see in these clips a shift in energy, a tangible shift in energy. And our job is to keep that energy alive and hopefully even build upon it for the next 3 months. So I want to play a couple of these clips from the vice president's rally in Atlanta, Georgia.
And to keep our middle class strong, families need relief from the high cost of living so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. And yes, it is true that by many indicators, our economy is the strongest in the world. But while inflation is down and wages are up, prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And when we win this election, here's what we're going to do about it. On day one, I will take on price gouging and bring down costs.
So she does a good thing here, and I think that it's really important. She does two things that I've talked about in previous videos, and some people say one needs to be emphasized more than the other, but I think they both do, which is she has to give an affirmative message to voters about what she will do in her administration, which in some ways will be a continuation of the Biden administration. It's the Biden-Harris administration, and if she wins, it will be the Harris Walz administration, the Harris-Shapiro administration, the Harris-Buttigieg administration. There will be some continuity there. She has to give an affirmative message. Like, here's why you should come out and vote for me in 2024. This is what I will do for you. I think there also has to be an acknowledgement of what she's done already as President Biden's second in command as part of the Biden-Harris administration. I do think it's important that she acknowledge the many vital legislative and executive successes which have happened under the Biden administration. I can only speak for myself as a voter, but for me, if a politician wants my vote and I voted for them in the past, they have to do those two things. What did I do, or what did you do with my vote when I gave it to you before? What did my vote get me before? Tell me what my vote got me. Then tell me what you want to do with my vote if I give it to you again. Both of these things are crucial, and that's why I love that clip. She does both. Hey, this is what we've done. It is important. It is a fact. Facts don't care about your feelings. But also, there's some serious issues, too, that we still have to address. I think it's also important that she says that they're going to take on price gouging and corporate greedflation. I mean, poll after poll after poll after poll after poll shows that a majority of Americans, not just liberals, recognize that high prices are mostly the fault of greedy corporations. That's important because even as inflation continues to fall and wages continue to rise, prices will remain high as long as corporations believe that they can pad their profit margin. I think it's good that she's saying, hey, listen, we're going to take on corporate greed. Very good, very strong start. Another clip I want to play. Oh, I should say too, I'm thinking about it. It's also important for her to get that agenda accomplished. You have to not only put her in the White House, she not only has to win the presidential race, you have to give Democrats control of Congress. It's so important, folks. I need people to understand this, that it's not just about getting vice president to be president of the United States. It's probably the most individually important thing to prevent a Republican from becoming the most powerful person on earth. But if you want any real progress, then you have to give Democrats control of the legislature, both the House and the Senate. Food for thought. Another clip here in which I think she talks about, she makes fun of Donald Trump for backing out of the debate with her.
So the momentum in this race is shifting. And there are signs that Donald Trump is feeling it. Noticed. So last week, you may have seen, he pulled out of the debate in September he had previously agreed to. So here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about that. So he won't debate, but he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird? Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say,
Love that energy. And it is true, as we've discussed in a previous video, Trump has been publicly waffling about whether or not he will debate the vice president. He didn't debate any of his Republican primary challengers during the Republican primary. He agreed to debate President Biden. 2 debates. They had their first debate. It was disastrous for both candidates. President Biden, obviously, but Donald Trump, obviously, as well. He didn't answer questions substantively. He lied to an unprecedented degree. He would go back on one question to answer a previous question to try to get the last word, but he still wouldn't address it substantively. And the vice president is a very skilled, accomplished debater. Go back and watch her Senate hearings in which she interrogates Attorney General Bill Barr and Justice Kavanaugh and others as well, people who are not stupid, and they visibly dread her. But he has visibly waffled, or he is, publicly waffled about debating the vice president. Last clip I want to play for you is bringing it all the way back to Jessica Tarlov and Fox News, is the vice president acknowledging that this is going to be a close competitive election. And right now, they're the underdogs.
Thank you. So, Georgia, in the next 98 days, we have our work cut out for us. And this is not going to be easy. This is hard work, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. So, Georgia, today I ask you, are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless the United States.
Great energy. We haven't seen this within the Democratic Party in some time. Again, whether you support President Biden or not, the fact of the matter is there has been a tangible shift in the energy. So as somebody who has been a lifelong cynic, and certainly more cynical since Donald Trump won the 2016 election, I feel more confident. I feel more energized. I feel a bit lighter. But as Jessica Tarlov says, as the vice president says, and as I've said before, this is going to be a very close competitive election. Donald Trump can win, and he may win. If we turn up, the anti-Trump coalition will beat him. The anti-Trump coalition is bigger than the pro-Trump coalition, but it all depends on us. We have 3 months between now and the election. So let's keep this energy going, and let me know what you think in the comments.